I remember this clear as day. We were stood in that alleyway and he was leaning on his garden fence and he basically said to us, if you tell anyone, you'll get taken away from your parents.
So you'd say on the whole you had a good childhood?
Family-wise, yeah.
Right. So what do you mean when away from family you didn't have a good childhood?
I don't know how to go into it. You obviously know. I know what you're alluding to.
So you had a bad moment as a kid, didn't you?
Yes. I would have been 9. I want to say 9 years old.
Okay, so before, and I only talk about this if you want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because it's quite intense. And I guess this is a trigger warning for anyone that...
Skip the next.
Yeah. If you don't want to get it too intense. Now, with this particular story, you told me this a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, my memory of it is a bit scattered.
Yeah.
So it will be like I'm learning this for the first time. But you were 9 years old and something bad happened to you.
Yeah.
What was it?
So yeah, it's quite a strange thing. It wasn't just me. There was quite a few young boys involved. Not many of them. Some people I didn't know. Some people I knew quite closely. There was an incident with a paedophile. Sorry.
What, in Norwich?
Yeah. Sorry.
Fucking hell. Do you like talking about it, or do you want to...
I don't know. Like I said, when we said we were going to do this episode, I was like, I've wanted to for years to just kind of get it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where I lived in Norwich, directly outside my old bedroom window, there's an alleyway, still the same house, so you probably know the alleyway straight across from the house.
Yeah.
And that alleyway is just fences along both sides, which is the back garden of people's houses. And back then, there was one house that wasn't just a fence, there was also a garden gate, but it was a small garden gate.
Right.
So you could easily see into the garden. And we used to go up and down that alley all the time as a cut through. And I genuinely don't remember how it started, but there was a guy there, an older man, I'd probably say 40s, late 30s, 40s. And yeah, I don't remember how it started. I think it was like a friend had already spoken to him before, so someone else was already involved with the guy. And it's a really weird situation because obviously I think it was 8 or 9, and it basically came into a situation where he'd take us to a location that no one else was around.
Oh, wow.
And then
he didn't take you in the house?
So every time it happened a fair few times. We'd go to like a random location, normally like a block of garages or something where no one else was around, and he'd just make us pull our pants down and he'd just stare at us.
Wow.
And then as we'd leave, he'd just give us money.
Wow. And I imagine as a kid, that's the first time you're really getting money, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why it's so strange, because it's kind of like disgusting.
Yeah.
But I'm 8, 9, don't really understand it.
Exactly.
But at the end of it, I leave and I can go and grab some Pokemon cards.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like it's strange to think about, because looking back at it at my age now, I'm going, what the hell was I doing?
Yeah, but you're a kid.
I feel like I'm at fault for that.
Yeah, but this is how a lot of predators and adults that have this power over children, this is how they thrive, and this is how more often than not they get away with it, because they make the kid think that they've done something wrong.
Yeah, so after it happened a few times, a couple of the boys involved, I'm obviously not going to name anyone involved in any of this.
Of course, yeah.
But a couple of the boys involved basically said to him, we're going to go tell. And so I remember this clear as day. We were stood in that alleyway and he was leaning on his garden fence and he basically said to us, if you tell anyone, you'll get taken away from your parents.
Wow.
And
fucking...
And obviously at that age, we believe...
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right, mate. Yeah, it's such a hard thing to talk about, honestly. You believe it?
Yeah, so we believe that, and then he'd basically say, look, no one would believe you. you'll be the ones in the wrong here. I'm an adult. They'll believe me. Why would they believe you? Sorry.
Wow.
So it continued, obviously, because what we meant to do, we believed that, and then it just had to keep going. There's no end in sight to that.
Yeah.
And then there was one time I was doing like a yard sale, is that what you'd call it?
Yeah,
these days?
just selling stuff. Yeah,
just selling stuff in my front garden. And he came past and just bought a game, and then said that he wouldn't give us the money until we could prove that it worked. So
What the fuck?
me and a kid,
Mm.
just younger than me as well, so he would have been 7, 8, had to go to his and go inside and basically prove that the game worked. But then obviously that's not what we were there for him.
Wow.
But yeah, moving on.
Mm.
We then got lucky. In reality, how it ended, I got lucky because the one younger than me told his mum.
Right.
So it all started spiraling from there. Quite a lot of boys involved. Another group of boys that I didn't know were involved. And I know a lot of people who didn't come forward because they were scared.
Of course.
And then it was only, actually in my group, it was only me and the one younger than me that said anything. So the older ones actually avoided it. So I always felt quite good for that. But then, it was weird. I started going to police interviews, which was, I have a really strange memory from the police interviews that I got taken by my mum's partner at the time, and for doing well in the interview, he bought me a Beyblade afterwards. So I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
So I did all these police interviews.
That must have been quite stressful for a fucking kid.
Yeah, I took quite a lot of time off school
Did
around
ya?
then. Yeah, and
Silver linings.
so yeah, I had to keep having days off school. Obviously, the school knew why, so they understood.
Did you understand at this point the gravity of it's kind of like the nature of the crimes?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it was till, like, yeah, I guess I did, but like it's hard to fully understand when you don't understand sex at that age. Like you don't understand anything sexual at that age.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have even have gone through puberty yet. Like
Yeah.
it's like that's, to me, that was nothing at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously now thinking back to it is disgusting.
Yeah.
So
it was in these police interviews that it started to really hit home that how bad this was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was given a court date, so I was meant to go to court. He wasn't going to be in the room; he was going to be on a screen, and I wasn't, or vice versa. Sorry, I can't remember. I think my interview was recorded,
Right.
so my
Your testimony.
what had happened, my
Yeah.
side of the story. All of the kids were obviously interviewed separately because you don't know what kids are going to lie about.
Yeah.
Which ended up being our downfall, actually, because the other group of boys obviously broke and told the police that it was all a lie and we made everything up.
What they were doing that because
They were obviously too scared.
Scared of
They-
the guy.
Yeah, didn't want to go through with it.
Wow.
And they were in the day before I was meant to go in to the court.
fuck.
So it got thrown out. Case got thrown out, and then he got away with it. All they made him move house, but they actually made him move 3 roads away.
What?
Yeah, so I'd still see him occasionally, nowhere near as much because he wasn't that close to my house, and obviously he had like restrictions as well.
Yeah.
He'd have to be careful because even if he got away with it, which he did, he was no longer on their radar. But yeah, I've actually still got the letter, which I don't know if Mum knows I have, because she had it. But I've got the letter at mine in Bristol, which is the police sent through. I think they sent one to her and one to me, but it's got my name on it and just saying this guy has been found not guilty. It's been thrown out.
That's so corrupt.
Yeah, so he got away with it, and then I think that's also like as I grew up and I realised, and I'd still occasionally see him.
Yeah.
It's then part of the reason I wanted to move out of Norwich.
Right.
Because I have a strange memory of going to go on a night out with you, and you were at yours, I was at mine, and I was going to come meet you. I don't know if you remember, but I saw him on the way out, and I just texted him, I was like, I'm going to have to go home because I'd been drinking a bit, and as soon as I saw him, I was like this rage built up.
Yeah.
And then obviously sadness as well. So it's kind of like, I'm not coming out. Sorry.
How old were you then?
That would have been 18, 19. It would have been when we were clubbing.
So do you still think there's a chance that you'd see him about now?
I don't know. That's
And you'd recognise him, surely.
easily. I'd never forget what he looks like.
Yeah.
I know his name. Like I could probably find him if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Ruined the name for me, but yeah. So yeah, it kind of put me off being in Norwich. The reason I said to you that I was kind of open to talking about it. Didn't know how it would go. Composed myself enough. I think.
No, you've done well, mate.
The main reason is that I've for years I've kind of thought about being more open about it. Very handful of people know about it.
Yeah.
Which is another fear of this going out, is the guys I live with now don't know about it, and they listen to this, so they're now going to know. People I work with listen to this, they're now going to know.
But you can't.
In an ideal world, my dad doesn't listen.
Yeah.
It's probably easier if he doesn't know. But then it's kind of nice to get it out, and then two, for all I know, we might have listeners that are either been through that similar sort of situation,
or it could even be happening to him now.
or happening now, and it's just kind of like, thinking back to it now, there's so much I would have done differently. I'd like to think there's more the other boys who didn't come forward would have done differently if they could do it again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just
what would you have done differently? What would your advice be to somebody out there that might be?
It's just that belief of what he said, where he said I'd get taken away. But that was the thing that stopped me from being able to do anything.
Yeah.
So if I never believed that, like at first it was kind of like, I'm getting money. Disgusting, but I'm getting money. I didn't know.
It's not disgusting though, because that you're a kid. That's what that you've been manipulated. He hasn't just done this on a whim one day. There's going to be a long build up, a long process to it.
Like, it wasn't
do.
instant. It was like he was already grooming other kids.
Yeah.
And as I said, there was another group that I didn't even know the boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking back at it, it'd be nice if I understood the situation more.
Yeah.
And then two, just didn't believe that, because that one sentence of you'll get taken away from your parents, this will come down to it being your fault.
And you hear that this is such a common theme amongst fucking pedophiles. Like a lot of them say this. They try and make you feel like the victim, and they try and make you feel like the wrongdoer rather than the victim, and they make themselves out to be the victim. So I guess from somebody who's been there and kind of experienced it, you'd tell any kids out there that might be listening just to fucking tell someone.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing you can do. Just tell anyone.
Yeah.
All you need to do is tell one person. That one person's going to get the ball rolling for you.
Yeah.
As I said, ours started because the youngest of the group, who was a year younger than me, just happened to tell his mum because he realised what was happening.
Yeah.
And that's mental, because he was younger than me and I didn't even realise how bad it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew by that point it made us bloody cry in an alleyway by telling us we're going to get taken away from our mums, but then it carried on after that.
Yeah.
I didn't go and tell my mum. But yeah, listener-wise, obviously most of our listeners are a bit older, so it wouldn't be happening right now, I'd like to think. But they might have younger siblings where something feels a bit wrong, or it might have happened. But the only thing I hate about it now is that there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah.
And it day to day, it doesn't affect me too much. Occasionally when I drink, I think about it, which isn't the nicest.
Yeah.
And obviously it's affected me, my brain in ways, obviously mental health wise, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't know, it's happened. Like what can I do now at this point?
I mean, you should be incredibly proud, because there's so few opportunities. I don't want to call it opportunities, but there's so few times in which something so evil can happen to a child, and then for that child to grow up and be able to use that pain in a productive and positive way. And the fact that you have this platform, and the fact that you've been so brave on coming on, and this may not even go out if we leave here today and you tell me that there's even 1% worry in your brain that you don't want it to go out, then it won't go out. But I think you'll be helping a lot of people out there. And also, so you've turned that massive negative into a positive. And also, it's not just the idea that there could be kids out there that are watching and this could be happening to them. It could be a case of there's adults out there who this has happened to, and you're of course you're not normalizing it, but you're making the
people realise it does happen.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's not a one-off thing at all.
No.
As I said, there was massive groups.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of I think there might have been 5 or 6 of boys just in my group. I don't know about the other guys. I know, I knew about 4 of them in the end. So that's 10 kids straight away.
Yeah.
They're all now gone in their separate directions.
Yeah.
They could be saying this to someone, obviously not on a platform like this by chance, but they could be saying that, and then they could be speaking to someone who's happened to. Like it is, sadly, it's a normal thing and it happens very often.
Yeah.
It's just how close to home.
Yeah, and hopefully it was a while ago now, but hopefully the criminal justice system's come a long way since then, because it doesn't seem like they did much to protect those kids involved, because a few of them said it was a lie.
Yeah, it squashed the credibility of every single one of us. But again, like it's not fully their fault, because I didn't fight it. Like when they said that, I didn't go, no, I want this to go through. I was probably 10 by the time the court case was happening. Like it was like I should have spoke up and been like, no, this needs to happen, but I didn't. I just let it go, and then he moved 3 roads away.
Yeah, but again, it's not your fault. You're a kid. You don't know any better, and that is literally you don't need an excuse. But if you did, that's the only one you need. You're a kid. You've literally been brainwashed.